So much. So Ryan, I talked to last month. I believe Ryan's the third year at UCSD and will be a neurosurgeon someday. I just know it. Ryan, when we met back in the wintertime, I think we were talking, and you had just discovered your rotation order, and you were not too happy about it. And it was so cool because when I saw you again last month, you came up. And I don't know. I mean, we were kind of chit chatting, and then one of the first things you were like, "I got to pray with the patient," and then you were like, I got to do it twice, actually, now that I think of it. And it was just such a cool thing. And I think it's good for us to share when we get to do that. Now, just praying with a patient is not the answer and key to integrating our faith. I totally get that. But just hearing your heart and hearing Sarah's, just sharing those moments, I think that encourages us. So Ryan, why don't you take it away, man?
Sure. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to share my experience. So I was on my internal medicine rotation, and it was the third month of the 3-month rotation. Specifically, it was the month that we do in the county hospital here. And driving there every morning, I was really thinking for about a week or so, what impact do we actually have on a patient's life, like truly, as medical students. We go in, we interview them, and we say hi or whatever, but nurses interact with them more. CNAs can interact with them more, but how much impact do we actually have? Because a lot of the times, we might make a plan and it might get corrected. So like truly, what impact do we have? And I was really thinking about this a lot and praying about it. And one Friday, I was asked to do an H&P on a patient who had been downgraded from the ICU. And we talked a little bit, and she was nice, and it was very clear that over the course of her life, she was older. Her disease had really taken a lot from her over the years, and so I was empathetic. I listened, whatever. And she had sort of casually mentioned a Bible verse. I don't remember which one off the top of my head, but I knew, okay, you're probably a believer. So the next day, was the mandatory day off. Came in on Sunday and go to see her. And it's like a totally different person. I mean, she was just depressed, distraught. Like she could barely stand to be in the hospital any longer, but medically she needed to stay. And she was crying and shaking on the bed, and my intern was there with me, and he's like, I gotta go see patients. So he left me there with her, and I couldn't think of anything else to do. And so I just offered to pray with her. And so I prayed, and afterwards she was like, oh gosh, thank you for your prayer. I can tell that you're a God-fearing man, etc. And based on the course of her disease, I knew, okay, there may be some cognitive issues here, and this is great and all, because I've been wondering what impact we have, but this is kind of a coincidence, and I don't know how much impact we have. Go back to see her a couple times during the day, and again she just emphasizes, oh, you really made a big difference in my life. And again, I'm like, coincidence. And then later on in the day, we get a patient that comes into the ED and gets assigned to our team, and they say, okay, go down and see this person for a methamphetamine overdose. And so I go and talk with him. He'd been downgraded at that point and was ready for standard medicine team to take care of. And I walk in and I'm like, okay, why don't you tell me what's going on? And he looks me in the eye and he says, this is going to sound crazy, but I'm under spiritual attack. And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, what are the chances that both of my patients in the same day are going through a spiritual crisis and could use prayer? And this is exactly the answer to the question I've been contemplating for the past week. And, it was definitely a moment for me to just recognize that we do have an excellent opportunity as Christians to impact in sometimes subtle ways and sometimes bigger ways. And so I took the opportunity. I prayed with him. I prayed for him that he would be able to fight his addiction, that he would stay strong in Christ, and overall use whatever story God is writing as he's living out his life and building his testimony, that it would be inspirational to others. And just over the course of both patients' time in the hospital, we prayed together, and I ended up sharing my testimony with the second one. And just overall, it was just a really spiritually uplifting experience. And I feel like it really came at the right time for me as I was contemplating a medical student's place on the team, not just writing notes and, interviewing patients and doing physical exams, but, from an existential and relational standpoint with patients, I felt it was a very powerful experience for me. So that's the story that I had to share, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share.
Yeah, Ryan, thank you so much. Same thing goes. I don't know if you feel comfortable throwing your email in the chat, please do. If you don't, that's totally understandable too.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
I just appreciate too just between you and Sarah sharing, and God's using all of us in our different ways. And if I could say like devotionally, I really think so. I preached this morning on Acts 4, and I love it. The pastor gives me the passage, and then I have to preach it. And the guy in it, Peter and John, just they're like, I can't not share this, what God's done. And I think it's important for folks, for you all to see people like Ryan and Sarah. They can't not share it. Ryan came up to me like, I don't want to share this with you, and Sarah just, she could not share it. I think there's something about that. We as people who are following Jesus got to talk about him and what he's doing. And so, Ryan, thank you for doing that. Yeah, super, super awesome.